Hi guys, back with another video, and I received quite a lot of questions on breaking into your data and analytics career, or basically leveling up in the field of data analytics in 2025. Now I'm going to suggest 5 very sought after skills and basically things that you need to have in your tech stack to break out in the industry. So as you know, I'm Singidari Bombo. I'm a strategic intelligence specialist working in compliance, and basically I deal with business intelligence, strategic intelligence, analytics, dashboards, AI, intelligence, fraud analytics, predictive modeling, and all these things, right? So in my line of work, and also with reference to the industry and basically where the industry is going, I've curated a list of 5 things that you need to do to sort of break out into data and analytics, or basically just to level up your game in the data and analytics space. The first of which is you basically need to master your SQL. I talked about this in my last video, and basically you need to understand BigQuery. You need just to understand structured versus unstructured data sets. You need to understand how to build data pipelines, very efficient data pipelines, and you have to have a good knack for allocating resources and best practices for getting data from one place to another, data warehousing, and all of that jazz. SQL is your best friend. SQL is not going anywhere. As much as people like to throw shade and say it's a scripting language, it's not going anywhere. It's the best way to manage big data. And yeah, a lot of companies are still looking for it. Second skill you need to learn is Excel, right? I talked about this last time. I did tell you Excel is, sort of like the jack of all trades. You need to master your VLOOKUPs. You need to know how to have your charts. You need to be able to also do macros. Macros are sort of like little automations that you can do in Excel that basically do repetitive tasks without you having to do them manually, right? And it's also good for business. Most of the time when you pull your data from your Power BI reports or your big data, your big data repositories, you need to basically visualize that data in a very easy way for business, because not everyone is technical, right? And that's where Excel comes in. Excel is a standard that's been used in the industry, and basically and it won't stop being used anytime soon. It's sort of like the standard that everyone is used to, and at this point it would really help you to also master your Excel. Now, the third thing that you need to know is your Power BI or your Tableau. Basically, you just need to master at least one business intelligence tool, right? And the reason for this is, when you've got those meetings where you need data-driven insights for decision making, you will need to visualize that somehow, and you will need to also provide the capability of interacting with those tools, interacting with those dashboards, and interacting with those those stats, in a more how can I say this, in a more kind of in-depth way, seeing how when you change this fluctuates, stuff like that. You need to be able to slice through data, change different parameters of the data, and see how that basically affects projections, dashboards, charts, and all of that. And the best tools for that are business intelligence tools like Power BI and Tableau. And if you check my last video, I did put an emphasis on Power BI because that's a Microsoft product, and most companies that use Microsoft products use Power BI, and they also use the likes of Azure and your Microsoft Office. So that's why I highly recommend Power BI. If you check mostly, job listings normally put Power BI up there. When you talk about data analyst jobs, business analyst jobs, and the likes. A fourth skill that you need to know is one good programming language that will help with automation, that will help with data analysis, that will help with creating apps. And my recommendation for this is Python. Python is like the jack of all trades, you know. You can develop apps with Python, you can do data analysis with Python, you can literally automate with Python, right? You can do all these things. You learn one language and you can do it all. It doesn't mean that all the other languages are bad, but for a beginner or for someone who's willing to, who's just started, getting into the grind of leveling up their career, I would highly recommend Python. Because another thing that you need to bear in mind is with Python is in my opinion, it's a very easy language to learn. And once you master the fundamentals, it's only uphill from there, Python can be integrated into a lot of systems. It can be integrated in Power BI, you can script with it, you can literally automate with it, like I said. You can literally use Python for SSIS, You can literally use Python for SSIS applications. Yes, it won't be the same, but Python can basically do what you would do, for example, pulling data from an API into a data source. Python can do that for you, and it can automate that process for you. You can literally create a script, that you would run, let's say every day at 8, and you can do that. You can do that with Python, right? Another programming language that I recommend is Node. So you basically Node is for what I use it for is I use it to create sort of like app interfaces. So the UI UX part of things, and basically it's good for creating web apps, right? It's also good for if you want to containerize your app and get it in another system. Well, you can do that with every language, but I just feel like Node gives you sort of like more control over how elements interact with each other, and it's just a more kind of robust development language or programming language. So I use it in conjunction with Python, right? So I use Python for data analysis, and then I use Node for basically developing sort of like the front end. But sometimes I also use Python, what's this one? Streamlit. I also use Streamlit for developing a front end if I'm not using Node. So it basically depends on the application. But if you can just know one of these two, then you'll be fine. Fifth skill that you need to have, right, is great business acumen. You need to understand the ask. You need to understand the business questions. You need to understand what business requires from you. And that's the only way to grow as an analytics specialist or as an analytics person, right? I'm talking about data scientists, analysts, engineers, all of them, right? You need to understand what is the question that business is asking. Once you get that, then you can be able to build a tool or to build solutions that cater to business needs, right? It's very important that you understand also the business, right? It's very important that you understand where are we going and where are we coming from, right? Because if you don't understand that, you will end up developing a very nice, complicated solution which does nothing for business, brings in no money, gives no insights, does nothing. And at the end of the day, that's a waste of time. And in corporate, time is money. You can't afford to waste time. So it's very good to ask the right questions. It's very good to have great communication skills. You need to be able to talk about technical stuff with non-technical people. You need to be able to interact with lawyers. You need to be able to interact with, let's say, health practitioners and all these things, and bring all of those requirements into one place. And then from there, be able to drive all those requirements into data-driven solutions, Yeah, I think I phrased that right. Yeah, but basically you need to provide analytics solutions for business questions. So you need to basically mold all those business asks into analytics solutions, into solutions that you can, into solutions that are driven by data, by stats, by facts, and that's where the money is. So before I conclude this video, guys, I'm sure most of this stuff is not new to you guys. I'm sure you've probably heard of it in a lot of videos. but I would like to emphasize on having a tech stack and having a portfolio that you keep all the time. Why do you need this if you're already a professional, for example? Well, you need it because if you want to get more projects, you have to show what you've done in the past, right? And if you're just starting out in the field, it's best to practice as much as you can. I always say this: tech doesn't care about your qualifications, right? And I don't think as you noticed, I didn't really talk about qualifications here. Tech doesn't really care about your qualifications. Working in tech, you can only grow in tech provided you can get things done. Tech cares about people who get things done. We care about what can you do, not where did you pass, for example, or what degree you have, or what school you come from, or where you come from, for example. We only care about what can you do. Can you get the job done? Can you build dashboards? Can you automate ETLs? Can you tell us a story with these dashboards? Can you do predictive analytics? Do you know how to build machine learning models? Do you know how to train said machine learning models with the right data? Do you know how to tune them right? Do you know the fundamental equations that make these models work? Are you able to differentiate, for example, between a sigmoid and something else? That type of thing. Do you understand machine learning topology? Do you understand which type of topology works for which type of fraud cases, for example? Do you understand neural networks? Can you build a neural network from scratch? If you can't, do you know the libraries that can, assist in that? That type of thing, Are you able to get things done? That's what we need in tech, So above all else, stop worrying too much about, I gotta get a master's degree or I gotta get a PhD or whatever. It's always good to have a degree. Right? A degree, in my opinion, always teaches you, also teaches you beyond the technical stuff. It also teaches you people skills. Being in varsity and just interacting with your classmates and all of that teaches you valuable life skills that you will take with you to business and that you will use to thrive. Like, for example, like I said, people skills, right? You need to be able to ask questions, to interact with other human beings, because we're not computers at the end of the day. You need to be able to be in touch with your emotional self, and you need to also grow your EQ as much as you have, your IQ. So yes, it is important to have a degree, but for the most part, what I do recommend is do projects. Never stop doing projects. Right, guys, thank you for your time, and if you find this content helpful, please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you again with another video.